You are ready.
All right, let's hop into it. Welcome to the June meeting of the ErieNet Development Corporation. Today is June 18th. The time now is 2:00 p.m. I'll just take a quick roll. Meyer, here. Gary Toll, here. Mark Janelle, present. Mike Breeden, here. David Castle, here. Jason Keating, here. Fire. Ms. Brace.
Here.
Mr. Spears.
Yeah, here.
Wonderful. We know that John Mills is absent for today. We do have representatives from ACT in the room. Anybody on the call? No? Okay, so we do have a forum. Next order of business, we'll have an opportunity to review the May meeting minutes. There are no edits or questions or concerns. I'll take a motion to approve the May minutes. Second. Motion by Mr. Cornell, second by Mr. Myers, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions, any opposed? Carries. There is no report of the chair this month, or we're waiting to number 3 on our agenda, which is the executive director.
This is some of our same updates. A little bit more information and some good news. So the city of Buffalo, we have been moving forward with them. Seem to be close on a signed agreement. There were some phone calls back and forth last week. This week we got them some more information yesterday that they were looking for. We haven't heard back from that, but I think they understand the pressure that we have to get the signs, but at least the license agreement, so that we can get moving on the permitting process. So that every indication is that we should be able to get that signed. They're well aware of the fact that we had to remove quite a bit from the MIP grant that we were hoping that obviously take down some of their cost. But they're still, obviously willing to move forward with everything. That was obviously just a bonus. So hopefully, in July, which we do need to have a July meeting, I'll explain that later, but potentially no August meeting. Hopefully by July, we'll be able to say to you that we're ready to move forward. You could, and I don't think you have to review that one, but we'll be closer to reviewing their IRU processes and things like that. City.
Should council have to approve that, so the mayor and council, or just the mayor?
No, just Nate Martin.
Oh, that's good, yes.
That's my understanding of that.
How was that communicated?
That they told in a meeting that it would be, and I think it's written into the agreement, that it's the sole discretion of the DPW commissioner. Yeah. We originally didn't want, and we thought it might be the best way, but anyway, to be updated unless that changed. Connect All, 5 minutes before this meeting started, we finally got word back from Connect All. We're still in a conditional award, but there are a few items. This is, and I just have to say that we are not alone in this process. I'll use STN as an example. It went back and forth as well. So we're still in the process. There are just a few items that they need, and I think we can move forward. As we explained it to you last, the 18 million.
Clarifications of existing, they're not new items. They're just clarifying numbers and I read this yet. They're easily addressed.
Yeah, and so I'll say this, as I said with City of Buffalo, hopefully in our July meeting, we'll be talking about our incentive proposal that we can move forward. And then we'll be doing some press around that, of course, with the county executive. And with the next item, I'll say that we'll be bringing in Sean Ryan and Senator Sean Ryan and Assemblyman John Rivera to do press with us, hopefully in a combination of we're starting construction and our real property tax legislation passed fully through for the Senate and for the Assembly. 6:20 a.m. a couple Saturdays ago with the Assembly bill. We cannot lobby, and so I have to thank the county for that. They hired a lobbyist on the behalf of this ErieNet project. It will save us at least over $40 million in real property tax, and it's a big win, not just for Erie County, although the legislation did have to be revised. It was statewide was our ask, but in order to get it passed, the deal was it had to just remain in Erie County. And so we think that we're setting a precedence for middle mile networks, non-for-profits such as we are municipal networks all across the state. And hopefully they'll be able to hire their own lobbyists and work there. But there was a lot of opposition at the 10th hour, or 12th hour, what do you say? I would say the 11th hour. So I got
Well,
let's say 11th. So in the 11th hour, there was a big push again, on the opposition, to get that removed. And that's because there's a lot of money involved, and the money that, obviously who's behind that money is a Spectrum Enterprises, who were obviously left out because, they're a big corporation, big businesses. They're not municipal networks, they're not non-for-profit. So,
So opposition wasn't like local communities that would be losing out on
no,
the tax revenue.
it was
It was just
big corporation,
Spectrum, because if they can't have it, nobody can.
pretty much.
right,
Yeah, so big
maybe
money.
high price lobbyists in the last 10 days.
Yeah, so I think that we should feel extremely lucky that it passed.
Yeah.
And that we'll benefit from it, and hopefully down the line, others will as well. And, it still has to be signed by the governor. I'm pretty confident that it should be. And I'll update you when that happens. If it's soon, I'll update you through email. If it's for it, I'll tell you.
The other session date that passed was the sunset. Spoke about it this morning.
Oh, right.
It sunsets in 2 years, 3 years, so we'll have to have this fight again.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. But hopefully at that point, they'll be less opposition or have spread through the state and become more expressive. Yeah. That gives us some time. Vic Martucci did a fabulous job. It was just him against like 20
Maybe part-time.
big time lobbyists. And of course, Senator Ryan and Senator Rivera, or Assemblyman Rivera, were super supportive, as well as the county executive.
I can just touch base, so I brought an email, so the Association of Towns, they are taking a position on that.
I know, I already.
So I got this email last Saturday at 10:09 a.m. with the attached legislation, so.
Mhm. And I'll work on that. We'll
Yep.
work on that. That gives us time to kind of educate the associations, the county associations about the benefits of it.
That's the Erie County Association?
So it's
Or-
Association of Towns on Albany.
In Albany.
No, they just, yeah, I can pass the email around as well.
Is it because of lost revenue?
Potentially for the lost revenue, so they're not taking, traditionally, they wouldn't get involved or take a position on it, but due to the way that it was worded, they're remaining neutral on the topic, so.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Oh, they actually.
Yeah.
Kirk Ben's good too.
I know.
Middle mile network.
You got it.
The opportunity to have minimal amount of
It's their message,
participation.
right?
So, yeah, something we can move
Yeah,
on.
I think there's a certain amount of like reasonable scrutiny of this sort of concept and wanting to start small rather than starting big. And letting everyone, because I mean, as we know, like, just because you're a local development corporation, anybody can be a local development corporation. So, being able to determine which ones are the true sort of community, non-government organizations and what ones are, faux for-profit ones.
Right, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it definitely gives us some time to work through those types of questions. And we have really good relationships, obviously. I was on the board of the association. Should be okay. So that was kind of our good update, our good news update. Investments, we had 2 large investments, in this month, one for 2 million, one for 5 million. That will yield us $309,000. They mature in April of 25 and May of 25. It's also set us up really nicely. The interest rates have not gone down. So that's continuing to help our efforts and our investment. But B, we have at least $2 million coming out now every single month. Some there's a little bit more, but and sometimes there's a couple, but at least $2 million coming every single month through May now of 2025. And that really helps out when we're trying to figure out what bills need to be paid and if we want to keep reinvesting. We've been very fortunate. We're at 1.5 million almost. We're just under 1.5 million of profit from that. And that will continue to grow, obviously. That's to date. So it'll be 1 year we invested this month. 1.5 something. And then just an update on the CRM sales. We did purchase the software that's going to be taking over for both our accounting and our sales. So we're working on the transition from our previous software for AccuFund. It'll take a few months to transition all of our transactions. But we're excited about that. I just want to let you know that that was taken care of and moving forward. And then I'll let Matt start, but I just quick for discussion. I just want everyone to be aware of some scheduling. So we're coming into budget season, which seems crazy because it's only June, but Cordy and I and Thomas and probably our audit and finance, maybe Mark, will start pulling some numbers and preliminarily and getting things ready for the audit and finance committee to their initial review, which will begin in August. As I mentioned briefly before, we wanted to have a recess in July. However, we have some RFPs that need to be approved by the board. And so we are going to have the July meeting and we're going to try not to have an August meeting. So plan on an August recess unless something major comes up. I hopefully don't see that happening. But the audit and finance committee will still meet in August. It doesn't have to necessarily be that day or that time. It can be if that works best for everybody. But we will have an audit and finance committee to do the initial budget process piece, which we did not have an opportunity to do last year. Yes.
So can the audit and finance committee meeting, does that have to be on site?
It has to, yeah.
Yes.
And it has to be public and noticed, yeah. So last year, if you recall, our budget process was rushed and last minute and we didn't, it was our first budget. We didn't have a previous budget. This year, I anticipate things to go smoother and for you to be able, as a board, to review financials more closely and have opportunities to review and ask questions if needed. So it should be a much smoother process. So we'll sit with the audit and finance committee. There'll be no board meeting hopefully in August. September, the audit and finance committee will meet again. And they'll be giving finalization to what the board will initially review for the budget. September will be the opportunity for the board to see the budget, ask questions. And then in October, audit and finance committee will meet again to finalize what will be the final budget presented to the board for October. That's the process. I just wanted you guys to be aware it's coming up. Any questions on that? Yeah.
So the design construction side of things, I think we mentioned this last month, but we do have a viable duct going across Grand Island, 180 Bridge. And so we've alerted Courtney and Melissa that it's okay to pay for that throughway IRU. Yeah, so that's good news. We have our raft building point of presence project, which is having its kickoff meeting Thursday this week, June 20th. So we're going to try to expedite getting equipment ordered and catch up outfitting that room.
What does that mean, the meeting about?
It's mainly just to introduce the contractors to Mike's team.
Nice.
I got
So we can talk about how do we access the building, parking, just kind of housekeeping before they show up and.
Pay for parking, there.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, done.
Unless you get the big guy on the screen to say.
Non-reimbursable.
I'll make sure you know exactly where Jeremy's office is. It's the main-
Right. No, they.
The funny thing is, the ErieNet, room that, when we have consultants there is actually right below your.
Right below my office, so yeah, I'm very familiar
Long
with your point of presence.
There's no asbestos up there to nail, so that's good news. Do you need a meeting room for that? Or is
We're
it
just gonna do a
walk
team,
through?
we're just gonna do teams.
Okay.
For that meeting. Our project manager can't be on site that day, and
Okay, so.
again, we just want to get some submittals working, submittals meaning any equipment that has to be ordered, my team has to review it and sign off on it before
Okay.
we have them ordered.
No one will physically be there.
No, we may have to do, and they'll probably want to do an on-site inspection. We'll talk about that at the meeting to arrange a
No worries.
time for that. Let's see, the Elk Street Bridge contracts in place now with our H&H telecom contractor. Before we can really engage them with work, we need to shake loose the DOT permit, which we're working on, and then that construction can begin. And I don't know if you're reading along with me. I'm on the board report. Item 4 closely relates to item 9 for our co-location. We need to get across that Elk Street Railroad Bridge to get to Lackawanna, to get to the Victory Technology Center, which we need to do that expeditiously for the University of Buffalo and for Erie One Hostess.
Where's the Elk? I'm trying to picture the Elk Street Bridge. I'm not sure
It's south of here.
Good thing you're a consultant. I'm glad we're paying you for that advice.
Wow.
I'm a accountant. I'm a accountant.
Elm Street goes over something.
Yeah.
Bridge.
Spans.
South of here. You're so smart.
I used to be a consultant. I would have answered it the same way.
Dan, I always have an answer. They're not always good answers.
Yeah, I get it.
Town of Amherst, we finalized the agreement with the town. Again, just terms and conditions of using their right of way. They don't impose any fees, so that's good. City of Buffalo, we're getting ever so much closer. We updated our proposals, updated information on schedule, and hopefully that will satisfy everybody at the city side. We've offered to meet, and I think that we can finalize the details and get that to a resolution. We'll talk more about the UB IRU agreement, because it's a board resolution item today, which basically we've given a proposal to the university. The university liked the proposal. They're pushing it forward into their budgeting for next year's capital budget. But we need to formalize that into an actual agreement. That takes time. Their lawyers have to work with our lawyers. And so we want to get that paperwork issued. And so that's what today's resolution is asking for. Likewise, to be on one of those IRU agreements for the university, they're looking for connections from 350 Main Carrier Hotel co-location to the VTC. And they can't get that quick enough. And so, again, so that means we have to have agreements with those co-location facilities. They're the landlords for these VTC and Main Street. And it's not like we can shop it. We have to be there. That's where our customer wants us. So, it's not like we can go out to bid for this, but we will probably take them up on looking at a longer term lease with those co-locations. Since the university signing a 20-year IRU with us, I think we'll be comfortable doing a 10-year. It gets us a little bit of a discount if we go 10 instead of 5. For Lancaster and I think it's the village of Hamburg, not the town. But in order for us to use some of their streetlight poles, we have to use their contractors. They already, that town uses Howard Construction Group. And that they don't want third-party contractors there, and have it worked out with these folks to do their make-ready work, so it needs to get done, and that's our other resolution for today.
Is it Team Springville? I don't know if I missed.
The
So the
Springville,
says-
Springville has, like Amherst, like, City of Buffalo, they too have a telecom license agreement,
Right,
and they have their electric code.
they own their own poles and
Right,
everything.
so again, it's just Harris Beach is going through the terms and conditions. We're not quite ready to, well, they haven't turned it back to us to return to the village for their comments, but that's in play. Make ready, we're doing well with NICEAG. You could read the details on here. But
Can we get back before we get
Sure.
ready? I know there's been meetings with the convention center. What's the status of how quickly we can connect to the convention center once we're able to construct, once we get the city permit?
so we have, underground conduit search requests into both Grid and Verizon to see what duct it may be available that we can lease from them to get there. That would be the best case. They're not being terribly responsive, getting back to us. They did show us one particular duct, but we ruled it out. It's not serviceable. Worst case, and I think we did check with the city, Franklin Street has not been recently paved. So if we
Yeah,
had to.
By the convention center was,
Yeah,
it was all redone. a
maybe,
couple
or
of years
maybe it
ago.
was Pearl Street.
Earl Street is not.
It is Pearl Street. So we're looking at that as an option. It'd be more expensive than leasing the duct, but it would get us there. So it'll be one of those two solutions. Hopefully we'll have that nailed down in the next couple of weeks. We're also working with the convention center to look to improve their internal building communications. Because we can get ErieNet there, but if the internal systems aren't doing a good job with their Wi-Fi and with their local area networks, because they are antiquated, then, we get lumped in for the same broad stroke comments. Again, make ready is the biggest part of our construction effort. It's the longest lead time to get through all these utilities. There was approximately, well, not approximately 6,363 poles that we need to attach to for NICEAG. Of that, 2,540, 40% of those poles require make-ready work, which is about what we've thought, is that about half of the poles will need make-ready work. So of the 6,300 we applied for, 2,540% need make-ready, and we issued make-ready task orders to get that work done. We think there's another 640 poles, and that'll get us to that 50% mark that remain. But and NICEAG is predominantly the eastern side of Erie County. That make-ready schedule is going reasonably well. Grid, unfortunately, is jammed up. We've been pressing with them. To give you an idea, we've issued task orders for over 2,000, almost 2,400 poles for NICEAG. We've only been able to issue 43 for Grid. So it's a log jam. And what happens is that it's good and bad. With NICEAG, our make-ready contractors have to do the work that NICEAG's responsible for, and we pay for that up front, and then we get reimbursed for it. think we've talked about that before. Grid does it differently. They have their own contractors do their own make-ready work. So good for us, we don't have to front the cash flow. Bad for us because we don't control the contractors to get the work done. And what Grid is telling us, and it's the same thing DOT is telling us, because the DOT permits are logged in, is it's not just ErieNet trying to run fiber through the county. Green Light's aggressive with their builds, GoNet Speed's aggressive with theirs. Spectrum and Verizon always have work going on, and First Light as well. So it's a busy construction season, and we're all jamming up the utilities. So it's frustrating, but you know, especially the Grid make ready is taking too long. And we're working with Grid's management, the whatever information we can help expedite things.
Let you raise your taxes in order to.
Can you raise his taxes? That's a service
You take it behind schedule.
Yeah, I would,
Is Grid behind schedule?
yes, yeah. And again, it's
Vendors calling.
any poll that requires Grid.
Help us, help them.
So when we submit polls, we submit several hundred at a time. If even one poll requires Grid to do work, that application gets bogged down until Grid decides how they want to handle it. It's almost, at first I thought NICEAG's process was backwards, but I think I like it better. I'd rather have to pay up front and get the work done quicker and be reimbursed than be chasing them like this, but those are the rules of the game.
Is there any way we can go higher up in the echelons of National
we-
Grid?
We escalated it pretty far as ECC's contact. You know, it's like anything, you know, you want to be a squeaky wheel, you want attention. But if you start alienating people, it's probably a fight we can't win. So it's better, I think, just to be persistent with them so they know that we're expecting for them to turn things around.
But is there any, well, so the comparison between NICEAG, National Grid is whatever, 2,000 versus 43, I
Right.
think you said. So are we expecting that gap will close? Will there suddenly be a time when National Grid will be, or, I mean, because isn't that putting us way behind schedule?
Then again, it's these utility contractors are all extremely busy.
Yeah.
So even once Grid approves the work, it
Sure.
then goes into the utility contractors queue,
Right,
and they have competing demands.
right.
So it's, and you know, and if you talk to any of the broadband providers, they'll commiserate with us. It's not like we're being singled out.
Right.
So I suppose, you know, if we don't see some progress, we could consider a letter from the board to Grid asking for some consideration. Don't think we want to play that card quite yet. We're still where we are till August.
Come August, let's see where we are by the end of the summer, see if there's.
Yeah. We're also, the county executive and I,
3 is 1,400.
Yeah, okay.
Now, there's a silver lining. Because Grid isn't doing the work, we don't have to pay them. And Missy's reinvesting that money to earn some more interest, so there's that. Connect All, I think if I move into, or let me talk about TLW, if you remember, they're our aerial contractor. We're still waiting for a few more make-ready segments to get released, so it's worthwhile for CLW to deploy crews. We thought that they were gonna start this week, but think it's gonna be probably after the 4th. The, will make better sense. What they have done is they've, took a warehouse. They're shipping material to that warehouse this week. Their foreman has been out driving the roads. But they won't have, like I said, I don't think we'll have a crew out here till after, the holiday.
And the timing might work out too. Because if we want to do some press on it, hopefully we'll have the MIP announcement, we can announce the RBT tax win, and then we're starting construction, we can do that all at that start of the construction.
But it's gonna be a patchwork with CLW. Because it's all make ready driven. So as we get the make ready, and like I said, we have 2,540 NICEAG poles that are where the make ready is being done, but it hasn't been completed. So as that gets completed and we get 100 poles over here and 300 poles over in this town, that's where our crews will start, skipping around to hit those areas. In the meantime, we're trying to do as much underground construction as we can. We don't have a lot of underground, but what we do, we've been doing, of course, with the exception being we can't do city.
Where are we underground, not in the city?
Oh, just, around different parts. of
Random
the town.
choices. Awesome.
Do we anticipate any additional costs for sending crews, bouncing around Erie County versus keeping them, localized to phase one?
No, I don't think so, because we're doing it as a unit price contract. So it's really driven by miles of fiber.
Fair enough.
So there isn't a mobilization cost. But in fairness to CLW, we don't want them to do a mile, sit, right? Do another mile, sit.
Yep.
What is a good day? I mean, 10 miles or?
Well, we want to be able to do between, I think we want to do about 8 miles a week.
Oh, not, okay.
And so it's, 32, that's just one crew. And CLW can go up to 3 or 4.
Right.
So we want to get enough backlog where they can at least do the 8 miles a week for
Right.
10 weeks. And then look at how quickly the rest are coming in.
But that means 8 miles of make ready poles next to each other.
So it's better, go faster.
Yeah.
Does get done quicker if we have a continuous route. You guys are tough this week.
Start.
I'm going on some kind of field trip with Matt, if we go on a field trip with Matt, take a look at it. We'll get your permissions, let's fill it out and you
Make sure you go and get your shots.
In my report, I did I tried to do a detailed summary of how we got to where we are with Connect All and the MIP. So you can read that. I'm not gonna spend half an hour talking about it. But essentially, we've revised our grant. We've addressed every question, every requirement that Connect All has asked from us. We've responded to it positively. And, it's really, and we got more questions today and we'll turn that around and we'll have that resubmitted to them by Friday sooner. So, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason for them not to give us. Have to get them to draw that same conclusion. But right now, our ask is just shy of 19 million so that we can build out in mainly non-BIOS townships and serve approximately 10,000 addresses. That's how the project's being reformulated. those 10,000 addresses brings us by many community anchor institutes. So that will make it more affordable for those townships, facilities to connect. Unfortunately, it won't be an equitable spread for all the towns because the other towns weren't eligible. So. And that'll have us whole nother round of make ready. So again, sooner that Connect All lets us proceed with that project, the better we can meet everyone's timelines.
And unlike our original 34 million, which is now expended and we're not holding to that 2026 timeline anymore, deadline, we will be expected to have all the MIP completed by 2026. We have to follow the ARPA rules. So the sooner the better is right, but they must, they know their money.
Yeah, we can't wait till next spring and say, oh, by the way, we still have to do it shortly.
Right. Well, they looked at, we wouldn't take the project. So we're getting to the point where they need to get something. It's a lot of miles and a little bit of time, and that's why I'm so confused by it, because we're really far along. So any project that wasn't as far as us, I don't even know how they would get it done, but they're out there and they're trying. It's slowly moving. I think there's 2 projects. And actually, I don't even know if SCN has their final incentive, but they, it's just back and forth, back and
I
forth.
think
They were close.
I think they have one. It's been approved.
Yeah, the other one they didn't
There's
receive.
some smaller projects that have been approved.
Right,
The larger ones are still.
Yeah,
You know,
in the same phase.
Now that this moving target is starting to stop moving, I guess, is there a better idea at this point when we need to sort of re-engage with the county on the concept of like gap funding for cash flow purposes?
Yeah, but we are finalizing some numbers for the 5-year plan. I know the board asked for that, and we'll be discussing it most likely with the board in September, but we wanted to get more finalized make-ready costs because those costs have increased. And so we want to make sure that the information that we're giving the board is up to date and accurate. And then we need to start having those discussions. Plus, we don't really have those discussions until we have the proposal from MIP, so there's so many ups. Yeah, but I hope we have a clearer picture financially on that in September and we can start having discussions.
Yeah, you just want to give enough time, whatever.
As soon as we know, yeah, and we can borrow, but yeah, we need to figure out
Will
what's the best.
September be enough time? Budget gets printed.
We wouldn't need anything until 20.
Yeah, this is gonna be, this is more, also for cash flow purposes more than anything else.
It's see it coming.
Yeah, it's gonna be a reimbursement, right? So, the 2 possible concepts here are working with the county on some sort of revenue anticipation note, or trying to get some sort of loan gap funding with the county, and a lot of it's gonna be the devil in the details of like how much needs to go out, when it needs to go out, what the reimbursement process from the state is to sort of replenish. And
And we don't anticipate needing that until 26.
Yeah.
So we do have time. We just want to have a plan.
yeah, we want to minimize those sort of costs associated, because even if you're doing a, revenue anticipation note and it's got to involve probably the county's control board in some regard, there are going to be costs of issuance associated, and the county is particularly, in a particularly good cash position. So if the county can bear it without much hardship, it may be something that is mutually beneficial. Yeah, okay.
On our lit service plan, that's expanded because with this MIP application, we're really talking about building an optical network similar to what Greenlight or some of these other broadband providers use. And that those electronics are different than what probably we would use for enterprise customers like the university or libraries or schools. But basically, we're looking at a Cisco solution versus a Nokia solution versus a Sienna solution. And we'll probably have some sort of request for quotation or request for proposal out soon to get formal pricing so that we can make an important decision. So we're still learning you know, what each of those manufacturers do well. What is there a clear choice between the three? Is it all, are they all three good choices and whoever's got the Sienna?
Is ErieNet able to leverage, contract state pricing that we get? Would ErieNet be able to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can use the OGS contracts. Okay. And I'd be curious, Mike, I know you and Miles.
Yeah, Mark,
Have been talking about, how you like your county facilities. And I don't know if you got a particular router in mind.
yeah, we've got pricing. We're gonna try to sweet talk to the capital committee here. It's, we found, funding that, capital request, but yeah, we've already got
That's
prices.
5 other requests.
Yeah, because
10 requests.
if you don't mind, I'd like to follow up with you and just see, what you're coming up with.
Right.
Yeah, I take it you're looking at a Cisco.
Yeah, we're
Switch router, so, I'm just curious if it's what my Cisco work is
pushing.
or if it's different.
Okay, no problem. Not just-
And if you got a smoking price, then I want him to match it. And the lit service plan will also include the fiber management system and the inventory asset management system. There's probably different products, different manufacturers, but it's not so much which manufacturer we go with, it's more the services that go around it. That we have to make sure that, we have it, not only can we get the gear, but do we have the right support behind it? For that, I'm thinking we'll release these RFQs in July. And probably target a September board resolution for who we think be working with. As you already mentioned, CRM and Zoho, so we're gonna start implementing that solution. And we talked about the budget, and we are updating the ErieNet business plan. We've updated the capital construction costs for ErieNet based on our actual costs that we're incurring. And now we're fine tuning and projecting still what our operating costs are gonna be after it's built. And then what do we see for revenues, particularly in the first 5 years? Because that's gonna define those, if there are gaps, that's gonna define what I call the launch period, where we go from no customers to, a marketed sales plan that results in customers. And that takes time. It's gonna take probably a 3-year horizon. Which has been what we've always said, that's not a new launch. So we are making headway with sales and marketing. Moog was a new, Moog, it's Hamburg and hamburger. Moog is got some facilities in Alma that they want interconnected, so we give them a proposal, and they're very happy with it. And still waiting for the city school district to release. And Liz, I don't know if you've heard anything. Does Matt Zuba still
He's still,
part of your
he is
organization?
part of our organization. He is like our only contact in Buffalo. It's the long holdover
Yeah.
for many years, but
And what he wants to do is put out a dark fiber RFP. I'm sure he's got E-rate segments that are coming up for renewal. Thought he'd have it out in the beginning of the year or mid-year. So,
know that it's him. Okay, so he, essentially his services are contracted by the city schools through us, so it's ultimately up to the district to decide if we're going to release that. And
right. I didn't know if he was just still formulating those.
you can follow up with him and see
If that's,
find out.
that's kosher for you to reference this. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything or, you know, there's something that you can, prod that along. That's really a great customer to have. And we're doing well with, some of these larger internet broadband providers. We're talking with a company called Cogent. They're a large internet reseller. And, they're interested in providing internet services to customers that want to light the dark fiber. And, there's some other ones missing. We did get a meeting with Gigapower.
Oh, yeah.
And, Hurricane is another one that's interested in meeting with us. So, that's all progressing well.
Great, thank you.
Folks, moving along in our agenda, we didn't have any committee meetings this month, so no committee reports, no unfinished business, no new business, so we'll write through our resolutions for this month. Go with 2024-12, resolution of the ErieNet Local Development Corporation ratifying and confirming the renewal of the license agreement for office space at Serendipity Labs, where they're now located at Sumicoma Tower, City of Buffalo, New York. This is the office license. Have a motion. Second, to Myers discussion.
So as we talked about in the last meeting, we are, renewing, but in a new space, downsizing, saving $11,000. And because we're moving spaces, we have to re-sign. Otherwise, it would just, it's ongoing until we want it to be over. So, that's basically.
So 29th floor?
Yeah, 29th
Sweet.
floor. We're just gonna be, well, we'll be on the window. It's very happy about our window. But, a smaller space on a little bit on the opposite side.
It's on the right side.
Yeah, you can get there both ways, but it's through kind of the nice lobby area where we had our, gathering around the holidays, and it's just down the hallway a little bit. On the same window, yeah, the big window side, we're just down a few doors, near the conference room, we met a ship. It's tight, but it's perfect for 48. We'll get our 2 standing desks. It's like a license, so it's not even a lease. It's just to utilize it. As you recall, we can use like space, internet's included, all furniture, so it's more of a license. It's a year, but it's ongoing and it can be terminated early and it can be extended as long. They're pretty. Yeah. Yeah, they've been very good.
It's a vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, any abstentions? Carries. Next resolution, resolution 2024-13, resolution of ErieNet Local Development Corporation authorizing the negotiation and execution of an agreement to engage the Power Construction Group, Inc. to provide make-ready construction services related to the Lancaster infrastructure, a total amount not to exceed $13,930, and 2, the negotiation and execution of an agreement to engage Power to provide make-ready construction services to the town of Hamburg, not Hamburger. Infrastructure with total amount not to exceed $30,150. May I have a motion?
Second.
Discussion.
You want to explain that a little bit?
So again, there's shared street lighting utility poles in both of these villages that we want to attach to. And both towns, or I think both villages, use power and is their official name?
Our construction group.
Power and Construction Group. They already have a contract with the village to do that work, so it's not like we can shop it.
We talking about the town or the village? The resolution meets the town of Lancaster, the town of Amherst.
It's not, I believe, or both.
Okay,
Do you think
Not
it's the
the
village?
No, if it's the town, it's the town.
okay.
My impression was the town of Surprise. I. It's,
Well,
it's,
it's impacting the village, but the village is resides within the town.
Right.
I think the contract is with both towns.
Any other questions, concerns? Take it to a vote, all in favor? Opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. 2024-14, a resolution of the ErieNet Development Corporation authorizing the issuance of 2 customer proposals to the state University of New York at Buffalo on the UP expired agreement. Now motion, motion. Any discussion, warranted? Matt, kind of covered this one during the
Do you have any questions?
This is the
This is
one,
like
the first one.
cuts over that certain threshold.
Combined, it's over the threshold.
This is the larger IRU. This is what connects the north campus to the south campus, and it connects the north campus to the Center of Excellence and on Elk Street, and the south campus to the Center of Excellence. All in a diversified configuration, so that's what this resolution is for that. $1 million, and that's the capital spend that have to invest and build that infrastructure.
No other questions? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, resolution 2024-15, the last one of the day, and certainly. That's all. Resolution of the ErieNet Local Development Corporation authorizing the negotiation and execution of a certain carrier co-location service agreement by and between the corporation and Our Lady of Victory Renaissance Court, EDA Victory Technology Center, for the use of certain co-location space located at 55 Melville Ave, Lackawanna, for certain equipment related to the corporation's fiber optic network project. And 2, the negotiation and execution of a certain lease agreement by and between the corporation and Fiber Realty Inc. for the use of certain co-location space located at 350 Main Street, Buffalo, for certain equipment related to the corporation's fiber optic network. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Discussion.
So it's rather essential. This is what UB wants, is to connect those two. They have a presence in both of those co-locations. We've always targeted 350 Main because that's kind of the main, what I call a carrier hotel for Western New York. But you have a paying customer against there, so that's good. And again, if it's, it's not a competitive bid where we can get multiple quotes. This is their standard pricing that they charge everyone.
Internet hotel on Main Street, they don't control any conduits in the, up and down Main Street or in the area, do they?
No, that's, everyone goes through mainly Grid and Verizon to get to that.
Any other questions? Take it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions, motion carries. If nothing else, our next board meeting is July 16th at 2 o'clock, in place. And I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
I,
Tim, we're opposed.